Hello everyone, Sadly here and welcome back to another episode of Bugrock of the Week. Today we're going to be talking about the newest Bedrock Edition update 1.17.30. This update introduces 150 plus bug fixes, but of course it also introduces a bunch of bugs as well. If you've been keeping up with this series and seen maybe the last 4 or 5 episodes, you'll already know about all 150 of those bug fixes, including some of the very nice features that have been included in this update. However, that is not the point of today's video. We are here to talk about some bugs, of which there is many that you should know about. As you may have heard by this point, Trident Killers have been massively nerfed in this update, but I have a Looting 255 sword on hand to demonstrate this. So Trident Killers do still work, they work perfectly fine in all of the ways that you would expect them to. However, the looting effect is no longer applied to mobs that are killed in a Trident Killer. As you can see, if I kill this creeper with a Looting 255 sword, he's either gonna drop nothing because he's a pain in the butt, or he's gonna drop like 4 stacks of things. So as you can see, that dropped to 51 gunpowder, which is pretty solid. So now if we go ahead and throw a trident into this little tester setup, spawn in ourselves a creeper, hold this looting sword. So as you can see, if we kill this guy with the Trident Killer, he's only gonna drop like a teeny tiny bit of gunpowder if he drops anything at all. So this is a massive nerf to Trident Killers. It basically removes the main reason that we use these. You can still get the impaling and the channeling effect. You can still get experience from the mobs that it kills and all that good stuff. So this really hurts mob farms of all types. It's basically going to cut your rates by 2.5 times. So if your farm produces 2,500 drops per hour with a Looting 3 Trident Killer, it's only going to produce about 1,000 drops now. And that is pretty massive. It's going to increase the time that you need to AFK your farms and use your farms. It's going to decrease the amount of things that you get hourly, of course, and it's gonna just kind of be terrible all around. Now, this does have the attention of the developers already. They're already looking into it, and there's several other things that we need to talk about when it comes to tridents and projectiles, because this doesn't just affect tridents. There's another pretty important bug with tridents as well. You might have noticed this already, but tridents are disappearing, vanishing, or otherwise being deleted when they are no longer within the render distance. So I've turned down my render distance as far as it'll go to 16, and now we're simply going to go about 400 or so blocks in this direction over here. And now we can turn right back around. That entire area where we're just at is now out of render distance, and we can go back over here. And as you can see, all of our tridents have disappeared and been deleted in one way or another. So that is a very important thing. If you have any tridents laying around in your world, you're going to want to pick these things up and put them in a chest or something before you leave the area. That way you don't, like, you know, lose them. This is really gonna also be a pretty big hurt to, you know, literally every Trident Killer. Trident Killers usually are not that accessible. I've also seen a lot of reports of people saying that hopper minecarts inside of various blocks are despawning. I haven't had any luck reproducing this myself, but I do have a feeling that if it's in conjunction with a Trident Killer, then as your Trident is despawning, then it might just be destroying your minecart on the way out. I don't know, it's a possibility. I can't really confirm anything. I've had no luck reproducing it, but keep your eyes out for your hopper minecarts. They may or may not be there still. Looping back around to the looting issue, it doesn't only affect tridents, it also affects arrows from your bow. So if I shoot this creeper with a power 5 bow and switch to the Looting 255 sword, as you can see, it is not going to apply the looting effect to the creeper. So it previously, of course, did this. So this right here is basically the foundation bug that is causing the issue with Trident Killers. And if this bug is fixed, then in theory, Trident Killers should also be fixed as well. However, I do want to mention that Trident Killers are basically a bug, and we're all just kind of pretending otherwise, and I wouldn't expect too many Trident Killer specific bug fixes. There's been bugs with Trident Killers in the past, those weren't fixed, and I don't know, just don't get too excited for them being fixed in the future. Another result of this projectile bug is the fact that skeletons shooting creepers will no longer drop a music disc. So if we drop a couple of creepers into this system right here, you'll see that they all get shot by the skeleton, but none of these guys are going to drop any music discs. As you can see, I cleared out the top row of this chest, and they are only dropping gunpowder. gunpowder. So as of this current update, it is not possible to get the vast majority of music discs unless you find it from like a dungeon, a loot chest, or of course you're getting pick step from a bastion. We also have a minor bug with iron golem spawning that isn't really too big of a deal, but they are spawning on things like trapdoors, lower slabs, walls, beds, and supposedly even fence gates and open fence gates. Overall, a bunch of things that they shouldn't. Now, the easiest way to prevent this is simply to put leaves down. Iron golems still can't spawn on leaves, so if you have an iron farm like this one, just put leaves on the edges instead of slabs, or replace those slabs with leaves, and then you're good to go. Now, this bug is already fixed in the next beta, so the next time that we get a proper 1.17 release, it should be fixed, and it's just a minor inconvenience until then. Is it just me, or is the quartz slab texture messed up? I mean, look at that line right there. That is definitely not straight at all. There's been many bugs with these textures before, so I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. Maybe I'm just imagining things. Is it supposed to be like that? Let me know in the comments down below. There's also some more wonky issues with Ravagers in this update as well. Water doesn't really push them that well, and they tend to fight against it, and that results in them not really falling down into 2x2 holes. As you can see, this guy is very much not willing to go into that hole. Now, they still can fall down into these 2x2 holes. If we give this guy a little nudge, he's gonna fall down in there, but I've also seen them jump out of this hole as well, and it's 3 blocks deep, so they shouldn't have a way of doing that. Now, I think this is just a little bit of an issue with their collision box or their hitbox. Those things have always been very glitchy for these guys on Bedrock Edition, so perhaps it's just a little bit more glitchy nowadays. And now for some quick fire small bugs that don't really matter, but that you should still know about because, well, it's a video that you're watching on YouTube. Just deal with it. Anyway, as you can see, the bow is now shaking way more than it should in first person. It's moving around a whole lot, and the punching animation is also super weird for it as well. There's a slight bug with RTX having to do with fire. As you can see, if I step into this lava, my entire screen is on fire, but if I switch on RTX real quick, I can stand in this fire, and there is no fire in first person. This affects lava and, like, actual fire as well. There's a pretty small little bug when it comes to holding snow layers. As you can see, I'm holding one, or maybe you can't see it. It's that teeny tiny little white triangle down there in the right, and it is just absolutely tiny. Now, as you can see, when we're punching with this, it also just appears tiny as well. It's a little bug, but a bug nonetheless. There's also another small bug in this update where if you are scrolling over a tool or just any item on your hotbar, as you can see, there is no pop-up text where it would show you the name of the item, the enchantments, or just like all of that detail in general. So as you can see, all of these pickaxes are enchanted and they all have a custom name as well. And it's really just unfortunate that these things don't show up on the bar. There's a rather scary sounding bug that you may have heard of that breaks certain crafting recipes, such as diamond blocks not being uncraftable, emerald blocks not being uncraftable, the ability to not craft the emerald or diamond blocks, and of course this also affects the magma cream into magma blocks as well. Now, luckily this doesn't affect things like planks into a crafting table, because, you know, that one's pretty important, and luckily it doesn't affect all of the blocks, it only affects certain ones. So like you can uncraft gold blocks, but you can't recraft them, and you can uncraft iron, and you can't recraft it either. This doesn't affect copper at all, so you can uncraft it and you can recraft it as well. Now, this doesn't affect slime in the slightest either, but basically, the long story short of this bug is that it's not actually that big of a deal, and likely it will not affect you, because the reason is this only affects worlds that have Education Edition turned on. So if you scroll all the way down under cheats and you have Education Edition turned on, then this bug will affect you. Now, that toggle says it's not currently turned on, but I know I turned it on for this world, so what's happening? And there's another bug. As you can see, this exact world and the world menu has Education Edition turned on, but if I look at this menu from inside the game, the toggle doesn't appear to be on. So yeah, let's look at that toggle again from inside this menu, and as you can see, it is turned off. Weird. So weird. It's a long turtle. What do you think is the scariest mob in all of the 9 realms? What if I told you it was yellow and pokey? You would probably guess it's a pufferfish, and you would be right. These guys are extremely evil and can deal a terribly large amount of damage. We're gonna go ahead and eat a regular golden apple real quick and block this guy with a shield. Take a look at the durability of the shield, and I'm gonna be quiet for a second so you can hear the impact damage from the pufferfish. Yeah, as you can see, he just broke an entire shield. There's basically no damage cooldown for the pufferfish whatsoever. Not only that, these guys, of course, give you, you know, many seconds of poison. And overall, they're just incredibly dangerous. So if you're someone who likes traps or, you know, PvP or something like that, carry around a pufferfish with you. These guys are no joke. Not a bad early game mob killer either. As you can see, they do aggro on skeletons and the like, and they make pretty quick work of them. Not as quick work as the player, but still pretty decent overall. There was also just a very important beta released for Bedrock Edition and some super cool snapshots released for Java Edition as well. However, I don't have time to cover all of that in today's episode, so stay tuned for that stuff in the coming days in a new video. But otherwise, I hope that you have enjoyed today's episode of Bugrock of the Week. If you have, then of course, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Those are the two best free ways of supporting the channel, and of course, it helps out the video a ton. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys down in the comment section and in the next one. And then there was silence.